The great hall of the Galactic Senate buzzed with voices. Thousands of beings from hundreds of worlds sat in rising circles around the central speaking platform. Light from 3 suns poured through the crystal dome above, painting rainbow patterns across the floor. Thomas Reed stood at the center, alone. His plain black suit looked dull next to the colorful robes and shimmering scales of the alien senators. As Earth's ambassador, he had one job today: convince these beings that humans deserve to join their circle. The human petition for membership has been formally submitted, announced Grand Speaker Kell, a tall blue being with 4 arms. His voice echoed through the chamber. The floor is now open for debate. Thomas took a deep breath. 6 years of negotiations had led to this moment. Honorable representatives, he began, his voice steady. Earth extends its hand in friendship. We bring innovation, determination, and a unique perspective. We ask only for the chance to prove ourselves as worthy members of this great galactic community. A rumble of voices followed. From his left, a reptilian senator rose. Senator Mox's scales glittered green as he pointed a clawed finger at Thomas. "Let us speak plainly," Mox hissed. "Humans come from a death world. Their bodies evolved to survive poisons, radiation, and extreme temperatures that would kill most of us instantly. Their history is filled with warfare. Can we truly welcome such dangerous beings into our peaceful society?" Thomas kept his face calm, though his hands tightened into fists at his sides. He had expected this argument. In the upper balcony, hidden from most eyes, 4 Vesperian delegates huddled together. The insect-like beings clicked their mandibles softly. "The human technology advances too quickly," whispered First Delegate Zix. "If they gain access to our trade networks, they will surpass us within 20 cycles. We must block their admission." "The vote seems split," responded Second Delegate Vreen. "We need more opposition." Below, a new senator had taken the floor. Councillor Nix of the Arcturian Collective floated above the speaking platform, her translucent body glowing with inner light. "Esteemed colleagues," her melodic voice rang out, "I have studied human history extensively. Please observe." The air filled with projected images, human battles throughout history, weapons, explosions, destruction. These creatures fought thousands of wars among themselves before they even left their planet, Nix continued. They build weapons as naturally as we build homes. Is this the behavior of a species ready for membership? Thomas stepped forward. "With respect, Counselor, you show our past without our progress. Humans have overcome these divisions. We have united our world and turned our creativity toward exploration and healing." Senator Talax, a furry being with wise, ancient eyes, tapped his cane against the floor. "I have visited Earth," Talax said slowly. "While I share some concerns, I also witnessed remarkable compassion among humans. They rescue animals with no evolutionary benefit to themselves. They create art that serves no survival purpose. They protect the weak when nature would favor letting them perish." The debate continued for hours. Thomas defended each accusation with diplomatic skill, never showing anger despite the insults thrown at humans. Yet with each exchange, he could feel the Senate's reluctance growing. As the first session neared its end, Grand Speaker Kell raised all 4 hands for silence. "We shall recess for reflection. The human petition deserves careful consideration. We will reconvene tomorrow to continue this most important debate." Thomas bowed respectfully, but inside he worried. The path to acceptance seemed to be growing longer, not shorter. He would need to find a more convincing argument by tomorrow, or humanity's first chance at galactic citizenship might be its last. Dr. Alex Morgan watched the Senate proceedings from the visitors' gallery. Unlike Ambassador Thomas Reed with his perfect posture and careful words, Alex sat with shoulders hunched forward, eyes narrowed in focus. Where Thomas wore a diplomatic uniform, Alex wore simple work clothes, sturdy pants, and a jacket with many pockets. "They don't understand us at all," Alex muttered, watching an alien senator describe humans as unpredictable savages. Alex hadn't grown up in the clean halls of Earth's diplomatic corps. Born on frontier colony Epsilon, Alex had learned to survive where the air was thin, the soil was poor, and strange animals prowled the forests. Life on a half-terraformed world had made Alex tough in ways the soft-bodied aliens below couldn't imagine. A tall, thin alien with purple skin sat down beside Alex. First time at Senate, the alien asked in careful standard English. Alex nodded. "I'm here as a scientific observer, Dr. Alex Morgan, xenobiologist." Merle, the alien, introduced himself. "Senate guide. You seem unhappy with the proceedings." Alex sighed. "They talk about Earth like it's nothing but a dangerous rock that accidentally made dangerous people. They don't mention our music, our art, our efforts to preserve nature even as we spread to the stars." Below, a new speaker took the floor. Senator Talax of the Meridian Consortium stood at the center, his old furry face serious under the lights. "My fellow senators," Talax began, "I propose a compromise. Humanity has shown both concerning traits and promising potential. Let us offer them a probationary period of 20 cycles. During this time, they would have limited trade rights and no voting power, but would gain the protection of our fleets." Murmurs filled the chamber. Many senators nodded in agreement. "That's not fair," Alex whispered. "We've already proven ourselves by developing faster-than-light travel independently. Only 12 other species have done that." Thomas Reed stepped forward below. His face showed no emotion, but Alex noticed his tight grip on the speaking podium. "The people of Earth appreciate the senator's proposal," Thomas said smoothly. "While we had hoped for full membership, we understand your caution. A probationary period would allow us to demonstrate our value to the galactic community." "He's accepting it." Alex stood up, drawing looks from nearby aliens. "We deserve better than that." Merle pulled gently at Alex's sleeve. "Please sit. Outbursts are not permitted in the gallery." Alex sat reluctantly. "Sorry. It's just, we've worked so hard to get here. 20 cycles is a long time to be treated as second class." "Politics moves slowly," Merle said. "Better slow progress than no progress." The Senate session continued. More aliens spoke, most supporting Talax's compromise. Thomas remained diplomatic, answering questions with perfect patience. But Alex could see the strain in the ambassador's eyes. As the session neared its end, Grand Speaker Kell raised his forearms. "We shall vote on Senator Talax's proposal tomorrow," he announced. "For now, we invite our guests to join us for the evening meal in the Great Hall." The senators began to file out. Alex stood and stretched stiff muscles. "Will you attend the meal?" Merle asked. Alex shook a head. "No, I need some time alone. Maybe I'll explore the observation deck." As Alex walked along the curved corridor outside the Senate chamber, a voice called out, "Dr. Morgan." Thomas Reed approached, looking tired but composed. "Ambassador," Alex nodded. "Interesting session." "You seemed upset with my response to Talax's offer," Thomas said quietly. "We deserve full membership, not some probation period where we have to prove ourselves," Alex replied. Thomas sighed. "I understand your frustration. But Earth needs allies. Sometimes diplomacy requires patience. While we wait patiently, they'll keep treating us like dangerous animals," Alex said. Before Thomas could respond, the hallway lights flickered. Then a distant alarm began to sound. The alarm grew louder. Red lights flashed along the corridor walls. "What's happening?" Alex asked, looking around. Ambassador Thomas touched his wrist device. "Emergency alert. Security breach in." A voice boomed through speakers throughout the station. "AT&T on all beings. Containment failure in research use wing B void parasites. DTTCTED outside secure areas. This is not a drill. Proceed to nearest evacuation points." Thomas grabbed Alex's arm. "We need to move. Now." They ran toward the evacuation area, joining streams of aliens hurrying through the corridors. Fear showed on every face, no matter the species. "What are void parasites?" Alex asked, keeping pace with Thomas. "Predators from deep space," Thomas answered between breaths. "They feed on neural energy, deadly to all known species." They reached a large intersection where hundreds of beings crowded together. Senate guards directed groups toward different escape shuttles. Suddenly, the lights flickered again. The air vents made a strange hissing sound. "Gas!" someone shouted. A pale mist began to fill the chamber. Aliens started dropping to the floor, their limbs going stiff. "Paralytic fog," a guard shouted. "The atmosphere control system is compromised." Alex felt a tingling sensation on exposed skin, but remained standing. Looking around, Alex saw Thomas and most humans were still moving, though slower. "Earth's gravity and atmosphere," Thomas explained, his words slightly slurred, "makes us more resistant, but it will affect us soon too." A tall insect-like guard approached them. "Humans, you're still mobile. The paralytic is meant to slow the parasites, but it's affecting most delegates. We need to get you to safety while you can still move." The guard led them to a control room where several officers monitored screens. On the displays, Alex could see many sections of the station filled with fog. Small dark shapes moved through the mist in some areas. "The parasites," the guard explained, pointing to the shadows. "They're spreading through the research wing and approaching the Senate chambers. Many delegates are trapped." A large reptilian being in a commander's uniform turned to them. "I am Guard Commander Drix. We have called for specialized containment teams, but they will not arrive for 6 hours. By then." He didn't finish the sentence. Thomas looked at the screens. "How many delegates are trapped?" "At least 40, including members of the High Council," Drix replied. "The parasites will reach them in less than 2 hours." Alex studied the station map on the wall. "These sections here and here are completely locked down." Drix nodded. "The emergency protocols sealed those areas automatically. We cannot override without risking further spread." "And the delegates are trapped inside?" Alex asked. "Yes. The paralytic fog was meant to slow the parasites, but the system released too much. Most species are completely immobilized. We cannot send rescue teams." Alex looked at Thomas, then back at the map. An idea was forming. "Humans," Alex said slowly. "How much longer can we function in the fog?" Thomas frowned. "Maybe an hour or two before complete paralysis." "Why?" "That might be enough time," Alex said, stepping closer to the map. "I'm a xenobiologist. I know how these station systems work. I could reach the trapped delegates." "Absolutely not," Thomas said. "As Earth's ambassador, I forbid this risk." "You can function in the fog?" Drix asked, his reptilian eyes widening. "Better than your people," Alex replied. "Earth is a high-gravity world with natural toxins in our environment. We've evolved resistance. It would be extremely dangerous," Drix warned. "The parasites." "I understand," Alex nodded, "but I can move through those sections while your people can't. If we wait for your containment team, those delegates will die." Thomas put a hand on Alex's shoulder. "This is not your responsibility." Alex smiled grimly. "They call us dangerous Deathworlders. Maybe it's time to show them what that really means." "This is madness," Thomas said, pacing the control room. "You can't go in there alone." Alex was already checking the emergency equipment brought by the guards. A breathing mask, a stun baton, and a small medical kit lay on the table. "These parasites," Alex asked Commander Drix, "how do they sense their prey?" The reptilian commander tapped a screen, showing dark, floating shapes. "They detect neural activity and movement. They prefer conscious, active minds." Alex nodded. "And they're vulnerable to what?" "Intense light repels them. Electrical shocks can kill smaller ones. The largest specimens require much more force." Guard officers bustled around them, trying to coordinate the evacuation of sections not yet affected by the fog. "Who is trapped?" Alex asked, looking at the station map. Drix pointed to different areas. "Several Meridian senators here, the Vesperian delegation here, and in the main council chamber, 7 members including Councillor Nix." Nix. Alex raised an eyebrow. "The one who showed all the images of human warfare." Thomas stepped closer. "Alex, this isn't about proving a point." "No," Alex agreed, testing the weight of the stun baton. "It's about saving lives, even those who don't think much of us." Commander Drix studied Alex with new interest. "We can provide a communication device, but it may not work in all areas. The fog interferes with signals." "I understand." Alex picked up the breathing mask. "This won't stop the paralytic effect completely, will it?" "No," Drix admitted. "It will only slow it down. The toxin can be absorbed through skin as well." Alex looked at the map again, memorizing the routes. "I'll need to move fast." Then, Thomas stepped forward, his diplomatic mask finally breaking. "Alex, please. Earth needs you. I need you. This is too dangerous. If I don't go, those senators die," Alex said simply, "including the ones voting on our membership tomorrow." A grim smile crossed Alex's face. "If there still is a vote tomorrow." One of the officers approached with a small device. "This is a neural dampener. It might help mask your presence from the parasites. Not completely, but it could give you an advantage." Alex took the device and attached it to a wrist. "Thank you." Commander Drix pointed to a maintenance hatch on the wall. "This service tunnel will take you closest to the trapped delegates. The main corridors are completely filled with fog now." Alex nodded and moved toward the hatch. Thomas followed. "If you're determined to do this," Thomas said quietly, "then take my access card. It will open any door in the Senate complex." Alex accepted the card with a nod. "Thanks. Try to keep the evacuation going. I'll bring back as many as I can." Before opening the hatch, Alex turned to the room full of alien guards. They watched with a mixture of fear, doubt, and hope on their various faces. "Record this," Alex said, pointing to a nearby camera. "Show it to the Senate." The guards looked confused, but one activated the camera. "My name is Dr. Alex Morgan." Alex spoke clearly. "I'm a human from Earth. Your Senate has been debating whether humans belong among you, whether we're too dangerous, too unpredictable." Alex paused, looking directly into the camera. "You call us Deathworlders like it's something to fear, but today it's what might save you. Judge us by our actions, not your fears." With that, Alex pulled on the breathing mask, opened the maintenance hatch, and disappeared into the dark tunnel. The last sound was the hiss of the door sealing shut. In the control room, Thomas stared at the closed hatch. "May your Earth gods protect you," he whispered. Commander Drix moved beside him. "Your kind are truly different," the reptilian said quietly. "No species I know would volunteer for such danger." "That's humanity for you," Thomas replied. "Reckless, stubborn, and impossibly brave." On the screens above them, the dark shapes of the void parasites continued to spread through the station. The maintenance tunnel was dark and narrow. Alex crawled through it, guided by a small light on the wrist device. The air grew thicker with paralytic fog the deeper Alex went. "First stop, Meridian senators," Alex muttered, feeling a growing heaviness in all limbs. Already the fog was affecting human muscles, just more slowly than it did aliens. A junction appeared ahead. Alex checked the memorized map and turned left. The tunnel ended at a small hatch. Beyond it would be the Meridian delegation's private chamber. Alex pressed an ear against the metal. Strange clicking sounds came from inside. "Parasites." "Here we go," Alex whispered, gripping the stun baton tightly. The hatch opened with a soft hiss. Thick white fog filled the room beyond. Alex slipped inside, staying low. The neural dampener hummed against a wrist, hopefully masking Alex's presence. 3 Meridian senators lay on the floor, completely paralyzed. Their large eyes blinked rapidly. The only movement they could manage. Near the ceiling, 2 dark shapes floated. The void parasites looked like black jellyfish, their long tendrils waving slowly. Alex moved carefully toward the nearest senator. The paralyzed alien saw Alex and his eyes widened further. One of the parasites turned, sensing movement. It drifted lower. Alex froze, then slowly raised the stun baton. The creature floated closer, its tendrils reaching out. With a quick movement, Alex struck. The baton connected with the parasite, sending electrical current through its body. The creature shriveled with a high-pitched shriek, then fell to the floor dead. The second parasite rushed toward the sound. Alex spun and struck again. This time, the creature dodged, and one of its tendrils touched Alex's arm. Pain shot through Alex's body. It felt like fire in the veins, gritting teeth against the pain. Alex swung the baton again and connected. The second parasite died with another shriek. "Let's get you out," Alex said to the senators, voice strained from the parasite's touch. One by one, Alex dragged the paralyzed aliens to the hatch. They were heavy, and Alex's muscles worked harder against the increasing effect of the fog. Sweat poured down Alex's face inside the mask. After securing the Meridian senators in the tunnel, Alex continued deeper into the station. The next chamber contained the Vesperian delegation, the insect-like aliens who had plotted against humanity's admission. 4 of them lay motionless on the floor. 6 parasites floated around them, larger than the previous ones. "This will be tricky," Alex muttered. The room had bright overhead lights, currently dimmed by emergency power. Alex remembered what Commander Drix had said about the parasites fearing bright light. Finding the light controls, Alex turned the brightness to maximum. The parasites retreated toward the ceiling, their tendrils curling in distress. Moving quickly, Alex grabbed the first Vesperian and dragged him toward the exit. The paralyzed alien's compound eyes reflected confusion and fear. By the third Vesperian, Alex's movements had slowed considerably. The paralytic fog was taking stronger effect with each passing minute. Human arms and legs felt like they were moving through thick mud. One more, Alex gasped, returning for the last Vesperian. A parasite dropped suddenly from the ceiling, landing directly on Alex's back. Pain exploded through Alex's body as its tendrils sought neural energy. With a scream of agony, Alex reached back and grabbed the creature, pulling it off with sheer strength. The stun baton had fallen, but Alex's fingers found a sharp piece of broken equipment on the floor. With a desperate thrust, Alex stabbed the makeshift weapon into the parasite. The creature died with a final shriek. Breathing heavily, Alex crawled to the last Vesperian and began the slow drag to safety. In the control room, Thomas and Commander Drix watched the station sensors as Alex's life signs fluctuated dangerously. "Your human is still moving," Drix said with amazement. "Any of our species would be completely paralyzed by now." Thomas nodded grimly. "Deathworld adaptations. But even humans have limits. Alex is reaching them." On the screen, a new alert flashed. "The main council chamber," Drix said urgently. "The parasites have broken through the doors. Counselor Nix and the others have minutes at most." "And that's where Alex is heading next," Thomas whispered. Alex crawled through the last section of maintenance tunnel. Every movement was a battle now. The paralytic fog had seeped deep into human muscles, making them heavy and slow. Each breath burned in Alex's lungs. "Almost there," Alex whispered, reaching the final hatch. Beyond it lay the main Senate chamber where Counselor Nix and 6 other high-ranking delegates were trapped. According to the station map, it was a large open space, which meant the parasites would have plenty of room to move. Alex checked the stun baton. Its power was almost gone after killing so many parasites. The breathing mask was failing too, letting more fog into Alex's lungs with each breath. One last push, Alex muttered, and opened the hatch. The Senate chamber was barely visible through the thick white fog. Alex dropped to the floor and crawled forward. In the center of the room, 7 figures lay motionless on the raised speaking platform. Among them, Counselor Nex's translucent body glowed faintly. Around them floated at least a dozen parasites, and one massive creature 3 times larger than the others. The alpha parasite. "That's not good," Alex whispered. Moving as quietly as possible, Alex crept toward the platform. The neural dampener was the only advantage left, but even it was beginning to fail. Halfway across the floor, a parasite sensed movement and drifted lower. Alex froze, not even daring to breathe. The creature hovered just above, its tendrils waving slowly. After what seemed like forever, it moved away. Alex continued forward. Reaching the platform, Alex found Counselor Nex. Her glowing eyes focused on Alex with recognition and surprise. "I'll get you out," Alex whispered. But as Alex reached for the alien counselor, the neural dampener gave a final buzz and died. Immediately, all the parasites turned toward the platform, sensing fresh neural energy. They swarmed toward Alex. Using the last power in the stun button, Alex managed to kill 2 smaller parasites, but the others kept coming. Tendrils touched Alex's skin, sending waves of agony through the human body. Alex screamed but kept fighting, using bare hands when the baton died. Through pain-blurred vision, Alex saw the alpha parasite descending toward Counselor Nex. It had sensed her stronger mind and wanted it more than Alex. With the last bit of strength, Alex grabbed a ceremonial staff from the platform and swung it at the ceiling lights above. The glass shattered, sending bright shards raining down. The parasites shrieked and retreated from the sudden flash. But the alpha parasite kept coming. Alex looked around desperately and saw the Senate voting console. If it still had power. Crawling to the console, Alex pressed Thomas's access card against the reader. The screen lit up. With trembling fingers, Alex activated the emergency protocols and overrode the safety limits. The chamber's lights suddenly blazed to maximum brightness, far beyond normal levels. The parasites screamed, their bodies shriveling in the intense light. The alpha parasite thrashed violently, its massive body convulsing. It dove straight at Alex in a final attack. Alex grabbed a broken piece of the voting console, its edge sharp like a blade, and thrust it upward as the creature descended. The makeshift weapon pierced the parasite's center. It gave one last terrible shriek, then collapsed on top of Alex. The room fell silent except for the hum of the overloaded lights. Alex lay pinned under the dead alpha parasite, body failing as the paralytic fog completed its work. The pain from multiple parasite touches burned through every nerve. Darkness crept in at the edges of vision. With great effort, Alex turned to look at the aliens on the platform. They were safe. Even Counselor Nex, who had spoken so harshly against humanity, would live. "Judge us by our actions," Alex whispered as consciousness began to fade. The last thing Alex saw was the astonished expression in Counselor Nex's alien eyes as she witnessed what a human would endure to save even those who had judged them unworthy. Then darkness took over, and Alex knew no more. Bright light filtered through Alex's eyelids. Strange beeping sounds came from nearby machines. The air smelled clean and slightly sweet. "Our patient is waking up," said an unfamiliar voice. Alex's eyes opened slowly. A medical chamber came into focus. Transparent tubes ran from machines to Alex's arms. The paralysis was gone, but a deep ache remained in every muscle. "Welcome back, Dr. Morgan." Alex turned to see Ambassador Thomas Reed sitting beside the bed. He looked tired but relieved. "The delegates?" Alex asked, voice rough from disuse. "All alive, thanks to you," Thomas smiled. "You've been unconscious for 3 days while they treated the parasite toxins in your system." Alex tried to sit up but fell back with a groan. "Take it slowly," Thomas advised. The medical team said you received enough toxin to kill 5 normal beings. Your Deathworlder physiology saved you, but just barely. The door slid open, and several aliens entered the room. Alex recognized Commander Drix, Senator Talax, and to great surprise, Counselor Nix. "The hero awakens," Commander Drix said with a respectful bow of his reptilian head. Counselor Nix floated forward, her translucent body glowing brighter than before. "Dr. Morgan, I owe you my life." "We all do." "Just did what needed doing," Alex replied simply. Senator Talax stepped forward, his wise old eyes studying Alex. "You did far more than that, human. You changed everything." "What do you mean?" Alex asked. Thomas smiled. "The Senate reconvened yesterday for an emergency session. Senator Talax, would you like to explain?" The furry senator nodded. "I withdrew my proposal for a probationary period. Instead, I moved for immediate and full acceptance of humanity into the Galactic Senate." "And I seconded it," Counselor Nix added. "I was wrong about your species, Dr. Morgan. I judged you by your past and your physical capabilities. I failed to see your true nature." The vote was unanimous, Thomas said proudly. "Earth is now a full member of the Galactic Senate, with all rights and privileges." Alex looked at them in surprise. "Because of one rescue mission." Commander Drix made a clicking sound with his teeth. "Because you showed us what being the Deathworlder truly means. We saw the recording from the security cameras. You risked your life for beings who had just rejected you, including the Vesperian delegation," Thomas added with a knowing look. "They had withdrawn all opposition to our membership, apparently being saved by the very species you plotted against changes perspectives." Counselor Nix's body pulsed with light. "The Senate has created a new designation for Earth. You are now classified as a guardian species, evolved on a harsh world not just to survive, but to protect others." Alex laughed softly, wincing at the pain it caused. "And all it took was nearly dying." "Your actions spoke louder than any debate could," Senator Talax said. "The Senate argued over humanity for days. You ended that debate in hours." After the delegates left, Thomas remained by Alex's bedside. "You look pleased with yourself," Alex commented. "Thanks to you, we achieved in 3 days what might have taken 20 years of diplomacy," Thomas replied. "They feared us for being Deathworlders, never considering that the same traits that make us dangerous also make us protective." Alex nodded slowly. "They thought our strength, endurance, and resistance to toxins made us threats. Now they see those traits make us perfect guardians for the more fragile species," Thomas finished. "So what happens next?" Alex asked. Thomas smiled. "Healing for you. Then, if you're willing, the Senate has requested that you help establish a new emergency response team. It seems they've realized having a few Deathworlders around might be useful." Alex looked out the window at the stars beyond the station. "Funny how things work out. They feared what we are, until they needed exactly what we are." "That's humanity for you," Thomas said softly. "Dangerous when provoked, unstoppable when protecting others." Alex nodded, feeling a deep sense of satisfaction. The perfect guardians of the galaxy.